the Land, Water, and Forest Resources Committee to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Bruce Paulson,
Here.
Ron Buckles,
Present.
Jesse Betcher,
Here.
Mark Helwig,
Here.
Brian Bissonette,
Here.
Kevin Shuptick.
Okay, we have a quorum. Can you certify we comply with the open meetings law?
The meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, thank you. Pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there public comments? Anybody want to make a public comment about something that's not on the agenda? Alex, do we have anybody?
I have nobody on Zoom.
Okay, perfect. Moving on. Consideration of approval of the March minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I read them and I make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay, you want a second?
Yes, sir.
Motion's been made by Mr. Buckle, seconded by Mr. Halloway. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Do we have any events to discuss?
Not this month, no.
Okay, good. And we've got, the treasurer has an over-the-counter land sale that she would like approved and passed on to the county board for final approval. Okay, Mr. Howard makes a motion to approve the land sale.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and seconded by Mr. Buckles. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the town of Bass Lake land sale. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, and we don't have our surveyor here, so.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, all right. All right, well, the forester has a report to give us.
Okay, for timber sale bid approval, we had our biannual timber sale bid opening on Friday. We offered 25 tracts and we had acceptable bids on 23 out of the 25. Actually, a really good bid opening considering the market considerations we have right now. We have a couple of new bidders on here, but they are all reputable from everything that we know. Everybody else is a known contractor in good standing. So looking for an approval of the high bid on each tract.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the spring timber sale?
I'll make that motion to approve.
All right, is there a second? Okay, motion's been made by Mr. Buckle, seconded by Mr. Halloway to approve the spring 2021 timber sale. High bidders. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, and just to go over a little bit of details on that. We had a sold value of a little over $1.6 million, which is a really big bid opening for us. And looking at the products, we watched aspen, we watched mixed hardwood, and then on these spring ones, we watched the pine that we put up. And aspen pulp went up about 5%, which is kind of what we thought was going to happen. Aspen accounted for over $900,000 of this sold value right now. So we sold about 65% of our allowable cut for aspen in the spring. So we got about 40% of our acreage left for the fall bid. We loaded up a little bit more on the pine. As you can see on here, we had about a 50% increase on our pine market, which is a response to some of the dimension lumber demands in the industry right now. Some of these other smaller products, it's kind of hard to get a beat on it, but mixed hardwood pulp went down again. And looking at our bids, most of the mixed hardwood pulp is kind of hovering right around our minimum bid right now. But there's mixed hardwood pulp almost every sale we have. But we're really pleased. I mean, we threw out a lot of sales just to give some things to look at, some different opportunities for the contractors, and honestly wasn't expecting to sell 23 out of 25. 8 of the tracks we had one bid, but at this point in the game, just selling the sale is really what we're hoping to get. It was really impressive bid opening.
Okay, great. And you somewhat manage this, don't you, by your view on the market?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we're tasked with just putting fiber out on the market with our allowable cut no matter what. But we have some flexibility to play the markets a little bit. Conversations we have with mills and contractors, between forestry staff here and DNR help. The foresters really did a great job reacting to market considerations. When we had our discussions about different things we're going to offer at the last minute with the market considerations, they all made it happen. So
Well,
really impressed with the work that they put into this bid opening.
yeah, so if you want to pass on our compliments to your staff, that would be great.
I will do that.
And mixed hardwood, is that probably because of Verso?
Yep, that's 100% Verso. So I guess the good news is we're still selling it. That market is depressed, but our contractors are finding a niche for it somewhere. But I don't see us going back to, $30 a cord mixed hardwood pulp anytime soon. But we're selling them, a lot of them with log jobs. The good news is most of our hardwood, we've been through our first thinnings already, so we're getting to more bolts, more saw logs. So the pulp is not the predominant product on those right now. So as long as we're still selling them, utilization will still be an issue on the sales. But this was a good one for us.
There's a effort in the state, I think, to improve the market for forest products. Is that something you can report on next month?
Yep, I can do that. There's been a number of calls and meetings on it. A lot going on. But yeah, we can get something on the agenda.
Yeah. Is that everybody interested in having that on the agenda?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Good job.
B.
Yeah.
Since we had such a good bid opening, I thought it'd be a great time to ask for a piece of equipment.
All right.
What we have a forestry tractor that we do a lot of our trail mowing. We do some trail maintenance, some work at the park. Our existing tractor is a 1981 Ford tractor. And this last year, it was discovered that we didn't have factory or OSHA approved ROPS on it, which is a rollover protection system. And we don't have a seat belt on it, which is required. So our tractor got red tagged. We're no longer able to use it. I've been working with Tim in maintenance and talking with Tom and Mike. We're looking for an increase to one of our projects budget to replace our tractor. We have a Kubota that Tim found for us that's listed at just about $19,000. It comes with a finishing blade, a 60-inch finishing mower that we could use at the park that would replace our existing riding mower, which is on its way out. It's got a front loader bucket, comes with a back blade, and a brush mower that we could do our trail maintenance, our forest road maintenance, any number of projects. So we don't lose a season on our trail mowing and whatnot. So part of this, we get a $5,500 trade-in on our aging tractor, which is a really good price. So we're looking for an increase to our budget of $14,000.
This comes from a fund, it says.
Yep, there's
ATV fund.
yeah, we have an overage in our ATV fund, approximately $90,000 right now that I think came out of resource development at one time. when we switched over our fund balances from
Sure.
resource development to general fund. So we have this money sitting there, so.
Okay, so this is not gonna blow your budget per se, is it?
No,
Yes,
I wasn't aware we had a ATV snowmobile budget. That's something we've had for,
oh yeah,
really?
yeah, all our maintenance funding runs through that. So most of this, it's grant money that we just cycle through.
Yeah. But I didn't realize we had an actual budget for the ATV snowmobile trail.
do you have a comment?
Yeah, just a comment, before we even came to you for, the purchase, Tim did a lot of work in trying to find rollover protection for the existing tractor, and because it was so old, we couldn't find anything that actually worked. So it was, either use nothing or come up with an alternative. So I think they did a lot of legwork to get to this point, and I think it's a good use of the funds.
So that ain't gonna have the rollover protection on it, or is it something that we can put on?
The new one has it.
Oh, the new one has
The
it?
new one has.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we're safety compliant.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the new one's ready to rock and roll.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a really good,
Wow.
really good unit.
Good utilities.
Yeah.
Parking, I guess.
You ran out for lawns and stuff. We'll see. All right, so we need a motion to authorize the purchase of I guess I'll call it the tractor.
I'll make that motion to authorize that purchase.
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Jesse, sorry. Okay, any discussion? Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no? Nay? Okay, motion carried. So we need to sign that, don't we? Okay. All right. You want to go on and talk about the Berkey 00 solar? You have a guest speaker? for
Yeah,
that?
I got a request, for a solar project at the Berkey building. We've got a kind of a small layout where this would be at. But I guess at this point, I'd let Ben take over and make his pitch on this.
Yeah, thanks. So the folks who've been working on True North Solar have helped us before. They're just a solar company, and the concept was to offset all the power at 00 with the solar energy. And so they came in and worked with us, figured out how much we use with Jump River. It's all Jump River service, and so there's three things there: the maintenance building that houses, well, we won't need a tractor for mowing anymore, it sounds like, but the maintenance stuff, the 00, the community building, and then all the trail lights that are on there. So they helped us design this along with actually Jump River. And we are working on grants and then funding the rest of it ourselves. And the concept would be that it would offset, like I said, all of the use there. There's two places it would work. One would be an actual Cortalopic Stadium where this on the other side of the road, which is more in the woods. This one is actually in that back of the parking lot. It's they said it's already cleared for parking, of course, it's out wide open and it worked really well, easy to connect to the grid. And so that was what they had recommended along with Jump River. So that's the concept, and you guys think it's a good idea? We were certainly excited to try and do it from a power standpoint.
I talked to some folks in Spider Lake and somebody on the town board, and they're all for it. So,
Okay.
good. What action do we need? Is it just information?
Well, I think at this point, it's information. I mean, I'd like to see more of a formal proposal to get approved by the committee, kind of the ins and outs of it. I think it's a good project. I mean,
Right.
there's no restrictions on county forest for solar panels for powering your own buildings and things like that. But I mean, there's some questions that we need, I think, to get through. I don't know if power's going back into the grid. I think that's usually an option on these things. So
what I can do is have True North put together some more information on the way this system would work. And you can kind of see a rough diagram of there where it would look like. It would go, this would be tied back to the grid and then would offset the amount of power that they designed the size of this. They looked at the last 3 years of bills, say this is the amount of power you're using, and they only allow you to send back as much as you've used historically by percent. And then in terms, we essentially buy it back from them is what we're doing. You send it to them, you buy it back. And so yeah, but I could get more the exact, they said, I said before they put too much more work into it, obviously wanted to talk to you guys. Great. So what I can have them do is get, the exact specific to size, some bullet points on the way that it works with the meters and whatnot. And Jump River would be involved because they're the ones obviously that are the power supplier there, along with Dairyland Power, which I learned. Dairyland Power supplies the power to go Jump River and Bayfield Electric. There's 2 cooperatives there actually. So I can get that for you by next month and bring it back to you in terms of more information and that kind of stuff. So that's helpful.
I think if the committee could just, I guess, approve them pursuing the grant in more detail on it. Because I mean, I think renewable energy source is a good thing, but the aesthetics is always a concern, and
Sure.
Some of the issues that we've had there. But I mean, I think it's a positive.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if this committee is kind of a consensus that we like it, and then you guys will go through your work and bring back an official resolution or something we need to. That would be the authorization for the use of our land, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm for it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I will get to by next month, get some more information, more specifics on the grid, the size, etc. Let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right. We got an LCO resolution. Greg, you want to lead us through that?
Yeah, unless Brian wants to kick it off, but
Okay.
I can.
Whatever. Brian, do you want to handle the resolution or you want Greg to kick it off?
Greg can kick it off.
Brian. I got a request from Brian. This kind of came together real quick before our April 15th deadline for our ATV snowmobile grants. But the tribal governing board is requesting, is laid out in this resolution, that we apply for trail funding miles for ATV, UTV on a section of their trails that we would likely just, if we got approved by the state, we would lob it into our normal contract with the Snowmobile ATV Alliance to get some trail maintenance money on some of their trails.
Okay.
On the tribal land. So,
All right. Then you're in favor of it? You're recommending it?
yes, yeah. We've kind of kicked this back and forth quite a few times over the years. And if we can streamline this, if we can help out getting some funding on those trails, it works better for the Alliance, and I think it'll work well for both us and the tribe on this. So.
Okay.
But I wanted a resolution from the governing board to clear up that they wanted us to do this and that we could work with them on this project. And if this works out, I mean, there might be more trail miles available in the future. What we're looking at now is approximately 5 miles of trails that we applied for. And due to the deadline, we applied for the miles with our grant package last month. But I just wanted to have this resolution before the committee, and the board to be aware of what we're doing and see if there's any issues on that.
Okay. So you're after some official, I guess, retroactive approval of this resolution?
Yeah.
Or this application, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we would need a motion to approve including the LCO ATV funding in our funding request.
I'll make that.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a second? Brian, you want to second that? All right.
I'll make a second.
Okay. All right. Motion's been made and seconded to approve including the LCO trail in our ATV UTV grant application. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Oh, I guess opposed. Okay. Carbon tax.
Okay, I had a meeting with Forrester from Steigerwald regarding this carbon exchange. Steigerwald's kind of been at the forefront of this developing market. They've done a lot of these projects for the industrial lands in the Midwest. And this sounds like a pretty good project that we can get into through the discussion. The way it works is with a public land base like the county forest, we can offer for sale our carbon credits that's kind of based on our baseline land base. So I've got about 4 or 5 pages of notes of how this goes. So I'm just going to try to wander through this real quick. But we can get a baseline payment because there's very low risk of our lands being sold and developed. So we have this high peak of a baseline carbon credit. And then there's another credit that we can get based on our growth from our lands over time. But the big one is the baseline. And that's what a lot of these big companies are looking for to offset their carbon usage. And this market's tricky. It's not like you can just hang on a shingle and it's like, I've got carbon for sale. It doesn't really, they had an exchange in the past, and that's what I was referring to when we first looked at this, the Chicago carbon exchange, but that went away. So you kind of need an in. And with Steigerwald, they're agreeing to give us the introduction to a project manager like this Blue Source group that I've mentioned before. And basically what can happen is project developers like this Blue Source, they'll develop a feasibility analysis for us, and that's for free. There's no cost up front. And Steigerwald's willing to kind of be the middleman to make these introductions and to get this going. There is a possibility of Steigerwald helping us through this process, for a consulting fee, which they're very upfront about why in the middle of this, and at some point they're hoping they could help manage this project. If we get into this, the project developers take care of all the costs for probably like the first 5 or 7 years, and at that point then they kind of toss it back to the individuals to manage the program. So that's where you run into a fee for your assessments, your continuous inventory process, things like that we would have to take on either internally with new staff, or we would consult out, with a Steigerwald group. So that's kind of the catch. It's a 40-year commitment. There is some risk. It's not too good to be true. I mean, there is risk, but there's always a way out. If this market collapses, we can buy back our credits and get out of the market, but the price would be pretty minimal at that point, because the market will be depressed and we can buy back for pennies, to get out of it. But the way we're sitting right now is I'm going to have Steigerwald get us in contact with the Blue Source group or another one to start this assessment out. And we're going to see what's required. We have to put together a big inventory, and they're going to help us gather our data. And if we need the help, there might be a proposal for them to consult with us to provide some of this data, put a package together. Okay. This individual, Steigerwald, he agreed to come in or do a Zoom with us at some point if the committee's interested in how this all works. It was a really interesting, a lot of information that he gave me that I think that the committee would get a lot out of. It's a really fast moving market, so their concern, or the one concern is, look, if all the county forests jump on this right now, that there might not be enough of a market need. So this might take 12 months to get this thing up and going. So the way I left it now is we're going ahead. You know, there's no commitment at this point, but we're moving ahead with trying to meet with this other group to put together an analysis and a proposal for us to take a look at.
Any idea of dollars?
I can ballpark,
Yeah, ballpark.
it's from what I've seen on different counties, and I don't know how much I can divulge,
I think it's public.
is it?
No, I think they've discussed with their boards.
Okay, because I know with Bayfield County, I think they were looking at, I think it was,
Well, why don't you just give a ballpark on what you think ours would be
Okay,
without
good idea.
divulging
Yeah.
other counties?
yeah, I think, just from what I've seen, I think we could look at, $400,000 or $500,000, a year for this first part. Based on acreages, based on other,
Okay,
that's ballpark pie in the sky, but I mean, it's a significant, and this, this, regardless of, the political ramifications with all this, carbon right now is a product. And we have a product to sell. And that's kind of how we're looking at it. So
it's enough to get our interest.
yes, it's
All right. And Mr. Hall.
Yeah, so, as Greg said, it is a 40-year commitment. On the plus side, it is significant revenue. We are selling a product and it would be hundreds of thousands a year in revenue for the county, which is a good thing. But then you've also got the broader discussion about carbon credits and are you enabling other people to
Right.
not be friendly to the environment. So you've got, some people on the other side who may not like the idea, but that's what the committee would have to weigh over.
Right, no, so as we refine this, you'll come back with some pluses and minuses and risks.
yeah, we'll get some more of a firm proposal as this goes on, but I think it's going to go kind of fast, just to get our foot in the door, and that's kind of, I don't want to be left out in the cold on this.
Could you spell Staplerwell?
No.
I
I'll send it to you. Okay.
So you're gonna keep moving as quickly as reasonable. You were working with Tom on this?
Yep. I know Tom's been talking about it in his administrator groups, I know, and it's,
Okay,
there's a lot going on, so.
all right, we're good.
Yep.
Okay, recreational trails report. I guess we lost the non-motorized, but the motorized is here.
Yes. Thank you. Well, our ATV trails are open in the county and the state and the Schwamigan National Forest. People have been out using them. Things are all looking very good on it. Biggest thing I want to do is thank you on the LCO project. I mean, this has been a huge project for us, our trail maintenance with LCO. The Alliance has been working on the trails out there themselves, either through their own or using snowmobile funds, or LCO has been doing a lot of work on the trails. So by getting these funded with ATV funds is going to be huge for us. So we're looking forward to that. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Yeah, how's Tuscobia doing? Are you still maintaining that, or?
Yeah, we had a lot of problems here with the beavers, with culverts. We worked with Greg on a list of all the culverts out there, trying to do a little bit more proactive in doing culvert inspections on that, and actually having putting markers out there so people can double check, because we did have a lot of problems here with the beaver, blocking culverts and the trail being damaged because of that. So
I can understand that, because my township, boy, them beaver trappers are busy. I mean, we're getting beavers where there never was beaver before. And there just seemed like no end to them. I was just wondering, because I see it looked like somebody graded it.
yes, we actually had a grader go on it and
Okay.
hired a grader to do it. And there's a little bit of controversy over the work that they did. They were pulling the sod out into the middle there, and then that has to be broke down. And of course, there were some complaints from some of the people there that it was,
That's,
You know,
that's was my next question, because that's what I've seen, and I wondered if you got any complaints on that.
we did, and actually we took a disc through there and disced it up, trying to break them up. But we need to get that sod in, because otherwise you got a ditch down the middle of the trail and the water can't run off.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem. We need to get that water to run off the trail. We need to crown that up. And so,
The issue with that is, there's so much gravel material on the sides that hasn't been pulled in for
Years.
years.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's gotta be rough, and we looked at it, we came up with a plan, and it's gonna be rough for a little bit, but once you pull that in a couple times, that trail just improves, so we'll take the complaints,
Who
I've got-
graded it? Middlebrook Cranberry?
I believe so. I'm not sure they contracted it down there. We're gonna be doing some of the same up in the Sealy Hills, and I'm sure Greg's gonna be hearing some complaints when that happens there, when the grader does that, but there's gonna be sod out there in the trail, and we're just gonna have to drive over, break it down, and
Break it down,
that's
yep,
the best
exactly.
thing for the trail.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Burrow? Okay, good, thank you. Okay, you got a report there, Greg?
Yep, real quick, 3 sales listed as active in April. Our spring activities starting to pick up with some of the aspen and the pine jobs right now. Sold value on file right now as of today, just add 1.6 to that 2.9, so we're looking pretty good there. Sale revenue for April was just under 80,000. Our year to date, we're hovering just under $1 million, so we're doing well considering all that's going on. Sale inspections are on target. Tract establishment, we switched back to all field work given the good conditions out there. All of our stuff got turned in for the bid opening. Recon is on target. We're still working on our Good Neighbor Authority contract. We haven't got our reimbursement in that we submitted a while back, but it should be in shortly. Nothing new to report on folk wilt or everything else. Mountain bike trails were open as of April 23rd, and as Don mentioned, the ATV trails were opened a few days later. We do have trail project rehab bids out right now. We've got 6 of them out, and those proposals are due on May 28th. The other issue we did our second burn along the Thornapple in the town of Winter in what we call the Cookie Woods. So it's approximately 40-acre prescribed burn. The total burn area is about 66 acres, but we're trying to reestablish in an oak savanna barrens type in a real interesting ecological niche down there. So project we're working through with DNR, Forestry, and Wildlife. So,
Okay.
other than that, I don't have anything else to report.
Any questions on the board? Yes, Mr. Long.
Greg, put you on the spot. Could you just discuss your staff and how they're working? I mean, you've done some remote kind of activity where the guys don't come into the office every day. Just kind of discuss how that's working. And
Yeah. We're kind of in between working remote and working from the office when we switched when the pandemic was at its peak. Currently right now, we're still doing kind of the remote. The efficiencies that I found with this, it seems to be working out very well. The only downside is we may be missing a little public contact for walk-ins in the office. But myself, I'm probably 3 days a week in the office, and 2 days I'd work from home. If I got field work, I'd just go from home and stop in. And the guys are doing similar things. So they're probably out in the field, leaving from home probably 4 days a week and in 1 or 2 days to catch up on paperwork and things like that. So looking at, what our output was last year, it seems to be working pretty well for us. Like I said, there's some trade-offs, but I like how it's going. We're productive.
Right.
I still have contact with them twice a day or 3 times a day. So, I mean, everything, this hybrid system we're working, I like it.
So you have a lot of DNR computers programs, don't you?
Yep. Our Recon is a web-based system that's housed through the state.
So your staff can work from home and then update.
Yeah, if they've got the computer, the connectivity, they could work from home, 100%.
Okay.
But there is certain stuff we're housing in the office yet now, and we still have our face-to-face contact as much as possible.
So there's nothing behind this question, but you could work in another building. You wouldn't have to be here.
Right.
Okay. All right. Again, there's nothing behind that question. Just
That's
interest. Matter of fact, you probably prefer to be.
Are you kicking us out?
No.
No, we have a unique job that does lend itself well to this system.
allows you to do that.
Yeah, it really wasn't a downside for us to work this way when the pandemic restrictions hit. And the staff, they've done a great job in prioritizing and being as efficient as possible.
Right.
I think it's been good.
Well, that's good. It works for you.
Thanks for the question, Tom.
Okay, any-
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Mitchell.
yeah, I just had a question for Greg. Based on the increased price of lumber and plywood, which seems to be getting out of control, I'm just wondering if that is going to correlate in any way to an increase in the actual price of our timber sales.
I don't think it is. From everything I've read on this, there's a demand issue and we have a supply of product issue, but the natural resource is flush. So there's resource to make the product, but it seems like they just don't have the shifts or the capability right now to make more product, if that makes sense. It's kind of it's a strange deal, but there's mills that I've read about that they should have warehouses full of product right now, and they can't make it fast enough, but the mill yards are full of raw material. So
okay, all right, yeah, I understand that. That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for the forester? Okay, DNR?
Yes, wildlife, fisheries, and parks. On the park side of things, on the Winter Depot, the Friends of the Tuscovia Trail will be operating the depot on a limited basis. The bathrooms will be open soon to help make this facility a functional trailhead. The fisheries side of things, they've completed their netting, and shocking will begin very soon. I was talking to the guys in the hallway, or one of them in the hallway this morning. It sounds like Nelson Lake will be shocked next week. Other information is the stocking of walleye and muskie will take place this year in Sawyer County. There were no muskie stocking last year as the DNR was unable to go out and collect eggs to hatch due to COVID-19 restrictions. For wildlife, 23 elk were relocated from Rusk County to the Clam Lake area. The primary focus was to enhance genetic diversity. The animals were released on April 5th, and the DNR will be putting up 21 new elk crossing signs, primarily on Highway 77, County Trunk Highways S, W, and M. The Highway Department will be doing the work. DNR is paying for labor and materials with grant money. Other signs will be posted in Ashland, Rusk, and Bayfield counties, bringing the total number of new signs to 40. The Natural Resources Board will be meeting May 25th, 26th in Madison. Items of interest will be the elk management plan, harvest quotas for the upcoming elk season, and decision points on the wolf management plan. Further information can be found on our website. And I have that in the handout. Another information is that we currently in progress, or they're doing surveys for rough grouse and woodcock to determine population trends. Moving on to forestry, Greg had mentioned prescribed burn that was recently done on the thornapple grade. We have 66 acres. I stand corrected, that's 40 acres. Fire suppression. When I submitted this report, there were 12 fires this spring in Sawyer County, bringing the total acreage burned to 12, so roughly about an acre per fire. The season is expected to continue for the next couple of weeks. Statewide, the season has been active. Green up has started to occur in the southern part of the state. So until we get some rain, it is what it is. New sale establishment, currently working on a 57-acre stand of red oak in the Sealy Hills, being marked for thinning. Should be wrapped up, I think I heard by the end of this week, but looking like maybe the beginning of, more like the beginning of next week. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions on the DNR report?
Yeah, I just got one question.
Go ahead.
On these elk, do you have any records or any indicates like any vehicle and elk collisions?
Well, I'll have to get back with John. Yeah.
Okay.
I know there's been some in the past, relatively small, but
Yeah.
as far as any recent information, I will get back.
Yeah, I was just wondering because you don't hear too much about it.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, so could you
Sure.
back to us on
Sure.
next month?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is Mr. Kozlowski online?
Yes, I am.
All right, you want to proceed with your part of it?
Yeah, for the Conservation Department update for May, we did do a stop log replacement out on Nelson Dam. As you guys may have known, we did do a drawdown of Nelson Lake here last fall. That was in conjunction with the DNR to expand walleye habitat and walleye spawning grounds. It was also a good time to replace the stop logs that desperately needed it, as well as do a dam inspection on that. So it's kind of a win-win across. And those new boards are in, and Nelson's back up to full pool. The Conservation Department presented its 5-year plan review to DADCAP, which was then recommended approval to the State Land and Water Board. And thank you, Bruce, for attending that and being our liaison to that. We had 6 on-site inspections conducted by Tim Seidel for compliance checks and discussions for new erosion control plans. 3 by Kelly Nahuda. We're starting to see a larger call volume coming in for additional mitigation practices, shoreline buffer zones, shoreline erosion control. So it is our busy time of the year, and that's why I'm here in office trying to do some multitasking. So we also completed our spring tree sale, which was a great success from everyone that I've heard. Everything ran smoothly through the online process as well as the pickup process. And we're still working out some of the errors in the septic permit history. We did send out our batch of postcards, our first batch of postcards for our annual pumping reminder. So we're also getting a large call volume back on those for those that may be seasonal and go to a 5-year cycle versus the state 3-year cycle. That, I guess, more so focuses on the zoning aspect. But if there's any other questions, I can certainly answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Kozlowski? Okay. Anybody online have a question for Mr. Kozlowski? Okay, very good.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Jake, can you kind of talk about your department? You've got different issues than Greg's department because of your workflow being a little bit different. And I think we're seeing in several departments, the stresses of this new environment we're in, especially with the real estate sales and the ability to keep pace with all of the activity going on. Jay alluded to the fact that he's multitasking as he sits there in his office. And Jay, could you just kind of expound upon what you're seeing this year and how different it is from previous years?
Yeah, this year, I don't know what it is, but it has been absolutely crazy. You'd have to go back 15 plus years back in history to see the level of permits that we're seeing come through our office, specifically in the zoning department. I mean, you really have to go back to the early kind of 2000s era when we had that larger boom. Just looking at the history again, we're up 25% on permits over the last 4 years, and just this year alone, up an additional 25% over last year, which again was still one of our busiest years. Speaking of, where we're sitting on that aspect, you go back that 15, 16 plus years ago into the zoning department at that point, and that department was staffed by 8 positions. We had 8 full-time staff positions 15 years ago in the zoning department. We now have 5. And we're starting to see the level of permits that we were having with 8 individuals. So there is a lack of staff that's here right now as far as getting things accomplished that we've historically been accomplishing. We are still doing our statutory requirements, getting land use permits issued, doing sanitary inspections. But one of the things that's starting to lack, and I'll talk more about this at zoning committee level, but it's the enforcement aspect. We just don't have enough time or enough staff to look at all of the enforcement actions and complaints that we were receiving at this time. As far as the nature of the pandemic, zoning department's been back full staffed in office since I believe it was around February of this year is where we started to see an uptick on permits again. We always have that lull during the winter, not much construction's going on, but as soon as we got a spring warm day in February, March, the calls came in, the permits came in, and we brought full staff back at that point. It was in late April, we brought both of our conservation staff back as well, just to kind of alleviate some of the zoning staff in some of the volume of calls and people coming to the window. Speaking for Greg, his hybrid situation works well for his department. It would not work well for the zoning department. We have too much face-to-face interaction, and it's something that we need kind of all hands on deck. So most of the staff is vaccinated, and we are still doing kind of mass protocol in your office as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. The USDA report, do we have anything? Okay, hearing none. Brian, you want to give us a brief update on LCO?
Sure. Well, basically, it's that time of year where we're doing a lot of maintenance. Let's see, we've got, our fish hatchery is up and running. We're not at, I had reported earlier this year that we're going to be at full capacity this year. Unfortunately, we're not. We're about half capacity. So we're still anticipating a pretty good stocking season. It's that time of year where we're having nuisance bears come into the community, so we're doing a lot of trapping and relocating. And then one of the big things that we're doing right now is the tribe is doing a spring cleanup. The illegal dumping out here on the res is horrible, and so that's going to be a huge undertaking. But we're gonna start address. Right now we're in the communities, but we'll be going out on the sides of the roads and on the logging trails wherever people are illegally dumping. So pretty busy time of year for us.
Any questions for Brian? Okay, good. Thank you. Any other items that we need to be talking about? Anything for the good of the cause? Yes.
Yeah, just one comment with regard to a couple of agenda items for the future. Greg talked about, the double O facility and the solar possibilities there. Is that something that should come before this committee or Public Works Committee, since it's the facilities? Just
it's county forest.
Yeah.
Correct? So I would think this committee, this year.
Okay, and then the other comment in economic development, there was some discussion about their roles and responsibilities and, you know, the things that they're responsible for, and they included some language in there about, you know, the recreational activities, you know, from the aspect of the economic impact that it has on the county, but you may want to look at that wording. That'll come to county board this month, but just pay attention to that to see if that aligns with what you're thinking as it relates to this committee.
Okay, yeah, this committee's kind of spelled out its roles.
Right, so just make sure they're all in alignment.
Right. And then the recreational activities we're involved with are on county forest land. Okay, all right.
Yeah, side note on that too, Greg, you may just want to look into Town of Spider Lake zoning to grab a permit. They'll probably require a permit for solar panel arrays.
I'll do that. Okay. All right, anything else for the good of the cause? We got some carryover items for future agenda. So anything else? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.